Good morning, class. Today we will start lesson number 3, food and health. How food affects our health. What type of food we should eat and how it affects our health. We eat different kinds of food and food gives us energy. Food gives us energy to work, to study, to play, to perform our daily activities. We get energy from the food we eat. Some foods, they help us to grow. Some foods keep us free from diseases, and some foods provide us energy. So we need to have a balanced diet in order to grow well and to remain healthy. We need nutrients to stay fit and healthy. Besides nutrients, we need water, we need proper exercise and sufficient sleep in order to become strong and healthy. Now in class 4 also you all have done the different food groups. Today we will revise about the different food groups. Food groups, there are 5 food groups: carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins and minerals. Carbohydrates and fats, they are energy giving food. They give us energy for the various activities we perform daily. Proteins, they help in growth and development, and they help in making new cells and repairing of worn out cells. Vitamins, they help us to fight several diseases, and minerals, they keep our body parts healthy. Carbohydrates are sugars and starches. They give us energy. We get carbohydrate from rice, from chapatis and from various starch food like potatoes. We get carbohydrates, and our lunch and dinner, even breakfast, has major portion of carbohydrates to provide us energy for our daily activities. Proteins, they help to make new cells. We get proteins mainly from milk and milk products, then from the pulses and eggs and meat. They are rich sources of protein. We also need cells to replace the old cells and which get damaged. Fats are also energy giving food. Fats we obtain from oils, ghee, butter. All these are sources of fat. Vitamins, they keep us healthy. Vitamins we get from the different green vegetables and fruits which we eat. They provide us vitamins. They help to fight the diseases, germs which enter our body. Vitamins are required by the body in small quantities, not in very large quantities, like carbohydrates. In our diet we need more of carbohydrates, but vitamins are essential. We need them in small quantities. Minerals, the last is minerals. Last food group is minerals. Minerals are needed in small quantities. Minerals help us grow and they keep our body parts healthy. Minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, iron, all these are minerals. We get minerals from the different vegetables, green leafy vegetables, as well as the fruits. Now, in order to stay healthy, we need a proper balanced diet which has adequate amounts of different food groups in it, along with water and roughage. Now water, our body is made up of 70% of water. Water helps to clear the waste from the body, and water helps to excrete waste in the form of sweat and urine. Next requirement for our body is roughage. Roughage is present in the covering of cereals, pulses, and it is the fiber present in the fruits and vegetables, and a proper amount of roughage should be included in our diet because it helps in proper digestion and helps to keep the stomach clean. Next we come to balanced diet. Balanced, from the word balanced, means every food group in the proper amount. Balanced diet, a proper diet which includes the different food groups along with water and roughage in adequate amount. A balanced diet includes a meal of the different food groups along with roughage and water in the required adequate amount. Balanced diet is different for children and for adults and elderly people. Like children who perform too much of exercise and daily activities, physical work, people who do physical work need to have more of carbohydrates and fats in their diet, unlike the elderly people who need to have lesser amount of energy giving food in their diet and more amount of minerals and vitamins in their diet. Elderly people, aged people, they need lesser amount of carbohydrates, fats and proteins as compared to children who need, smaller children, they need more of the energy giving food and proteins. More of carbohydrate, fats and protein should be included in your diet because you people are growing, and for growth and development more of proteins is required and more of energy and fat is required, carbohydrate is required in your diet. The diet you need is different from that of a baby or an adult or an old person. Children of class 5, they should have more of proteins because you people are growing. You need more proteins to build up new cells which will help you in your growth and development. The diet of a person also depends upon the kind of work, the kind of activity you are doing. Like people who are doing more of physical labor need to have more of carbohydrate and fat in their diet as compared to people who are sitting on the computer or working in offices. They don't need that much amount of carbohydrate and fat in their diet. Vitamins and minerals, they are essential for all. They are required in small amount but required by all. For small children also, for class 5 children, for adults also, and old people, whether people are involved in physical work or whether involved in office work. Vitamins and minerals are required by all. Otherwise, the deficiency of vitamins and minerals will lead to deficiency diseases. Next we come to junk food. Junk food is the food which has lesser nutritive value, and children of your age are more fond of junk food. We should avoid eating too much of junk food. Example of junk food is like burger, pizza and potato chips. All these are junk food. They have lesser nutritive value and are more energy giving. They do not have much nutrients and are not easy to digest. Junk food takes time to digest and nutritive value is also very less. Junk food has more of fats and carbohydrates and lesser amount of vitamins and minerals and proteins. Junk food does more harm to the body as compared to good. They cause harm to the body. Now, what are the adverse effects of eating junk food? Junk food have high level of salt and sugar in them. Like all these cold drinks are also included in junk food. Pepsi, Coke, all these cold drinks, they have more amount of sugars and carbohydrate, which can cause blood pressure and increase the sugar level in the body. They cause weight gain Too much of junk food in the diet will lead to weight gain. The child will become obese and will have a very high weight, and they contain low nutritive value. Junk food are difficult to digest. They take time to digest. They have high fat and carbohydrate, causes fatigue and tiredness. Too much of junk food in the diet will lead to too much of tiredness. You will feel tired all the time, and it takes time to digest. So we should avoid too much of junk food in our diet. Once in a while is okay, but not always. We should try to avoid junk food. Next we come to sprouting and fermentation. Sprouting and fermentation, they are the two methods which increase the nutritive value of the food. They are the methods which increase the nutritive quality of food. And sprouted grains, they are rich in vitamins and minerals. They have more of proteins, more of vitamins once the grains are sprouted. These days we eat sprouted pulses, sprouted chana, sprouted beans. They all have more of protein and more of vitamins. Minerals are these sprouted grains which have minerals. They are good for our body. They help in the growth and development of the body. Fermented food have more nutrition. They have the nutritive value increases in the fermented food. Like we are eating idli, dosa, all these fermented food, they have more nutritive value, and fermentation improves the taste of the food also. So fermented food is also good for the body. Next we come to healthy foods. There are few examples of healthy foods given in your book, and you should try to eat more of these healthy food to improve your health. First is curd. Curd is rich source of calcium, rich source of protein. It is a milk product made out of milk, and it helps in digestion. Second is apple. Apple is rich in iron. Iron is a mineral, and it is a rich source of vitamins and fibers. It has certain very good antioxidants which help to keep you healthy. Third we come to broccoli. Broccoli contains lot of calcium and potassium. It is rich in fibers. So we should include these healthy foods in our diet. Next is almonds. Everybody should have at least 4 to 5 almonds daily. It is better to soak the almonds at night, and in the morning peel off the skin and eat, because almonds, they are rich sources of vitamins and minerals. They provide your body, they supplement certain nutrients, vitamins and minerals in your body, and they contain good antioxidants which is very good for your health. Now we come to certain, if we don't take proper food in our diet, then our bodies may suffer from certain deficiency diseases. If we don't have proper iron in our diet, we can suffer from the disease known as anemia, which is caused due to deficiency of iron. Then if we have lesser amount of iodine in our diet, it can lead to the deficiency disease goiter. There are certain diseases which are caused because of our unhealthy lifestyle. They are known as lifestyle diseases. Lifestyle diseases, they are caused due to lack of exercise in our daily routine. Then unhealthy eating habits, eating more of junk food, and smoking. Unhealthy habits, they lead to certain lifestyle diseases. Lifestyle diseases like heart diseases, obesity, depression, cancer, all these are lifestyle diseases. Next we come to diseases related to our food habits. 4 diseases are given in your book. First is obesity. Obesity mainly it is weight gain, too much of weight compared to the age. Obesity, what are the symptoms? Overweight, breathlessness, fatigue, fatigue means tiredness, and increased sweating. These are the symptoms of this obesity. Next is diabetes. Diabetes we generally call it as sugar, increased sugar level. The symptoms of diabetes is increased thirst. The person will feel thirsty all the time. Frequent urination, hunger. Full time the person having diabetes will feel hungry. Fatigue, laziness and tiredness, weight loss and blurred vision. These are the symptoms of diabetes. The third disease related to food habit is anemia. Anemia, it is due to deficiency of iron in the diet, and the symptoms are pale skin, dizziness, you will always feel dizzy, and weakness and shortness of breath. The person having anemia will always feel weak and shortness of breath, breathing problem. Then fourth disease is high blood pressure. High blood pressure, in this case the symptoms are severe headache, severe anxiety, shortness of breath, dizziness and nausea. These all 4 diseases are related to unhealthy food habits. Next we will continue with deficiency diseases. Deficiency diseases. Deficiency diseases from the name, because they are caused because of deficiency of certain vitamins and minerals in the diet. Vitamins and minerals are required in small amount, and if we avoid certain vitamins and minerals, or we skip certain vitamins and minerals in our diet, they can lead to certain diseases. That is why we should all have balanced diet in order to avoid these diseases. Now first we will start with night blindness. The disease is night blindness. It is caused due to deficiency of vitamin A in the diet. So how can we avoid night blindness? By eating the food which are rich in vitamin A. Vitamin A is present in all the colored fruits and vegetables, milk and milk products, fishes, eggs, all these contain vitamin A. So in order to avoid this disease, night blindness, our food should have a certain amount of vitamin A in our diet. Second disease is beriberi. It is caused due to deficiency of vitamin B in the diet. Vitamin B we can have vitamin B from milk and milk products, then green leafy vegetables, nuts, eggs, cereals, pulses, all these contain vitamin B. The third disease is scurvy. It is caused due to deficiency of vitamin C in the diet. Vitamin C we can get from all the citrus fruits and vegetables like lemons, amlas, oranges. They are rich sources of vitamin C. Fourth disease is rickets. Rickets is caused due to deficiency of vitamin D in the diet. Vitamin D we can obtain from milk and milk products, eggs, liver, vegetable oils, fishes, and exposure to sunshine. Morning sunshine, morning sunlight, it provides us vitamin D. Then fifth disease is goiter. Goiter is caused due to deficiency of iodine in the diet. How we can overcome, how we can get iodine? Iodine we get from iodized salt and seaweeds. Sixth deficiency disease is anemia. Anemia is because of lack of iron in the diet. How we can get more iron from the food? Iron we can get from apples, spinach, and amlas, bananas, they are good sources of iron. Next, seventh deficiency diseases, underdeveloped bones and teeth. Undeveloped bones and teeth are because of deficiency of calcium and phosphorus in the diet. We can have calcium rich foods like milk and milk products, beans, they are rich sources of calcium, phosphorus, green vegetables, milk, meat, fish, they are good sources of phosphorus. So in order to avoid these deficiency diseases, we should have a balanced diet with proper adequate amount of vitamins and minerals present in it. Then there are certain diseases which are caused due to deficiency of proteins. Diseases caused due to deficiency of proteins are kwashiorkor and marasmus. Kwashiorkor affects children between 1 to 3 years of age. The child loses appetite and has a pot belly. Legs become long, thin and curved, and there is severe retardation in the physical as well as mental growth of the child. The second disease due to protein deficiency is marasmus. Marasmus affects children below 1 year of age. The child becomes very weak and ribs are visible in the chest, and the skin becomes dry and wrinkled. Child develops diarrhea, and there is a severe retardation in the physical and mental health of the child. How we can prevent these two protein deficiency diseases? By giving a protein rich diet to the child. A protein rich diet like wheat, soya bean, groundnuts, pulses, they are rich sources of protein. They should be given along with egg, fish, meat in order to overcome this protein deficiency. The last topic of this chapter, food and health, is food adulteration. What is meant by food adulteration? It is the process of harming the quality of food. We are facing so much of adulterated food these days because the quality of food is harmed. Either some unnecessary impurities are added to the food, or some valuable ingredients are removed from the food. This leads to food adulteration, and adulterants are those substances which are added to the food to degrade its quality. Adulterated food make the food products unsafe for human consumption. They can lead to different diseases, and although it is a punishable offense, yet people they do it for their personal gains. Different type of food and the adulterants is given in the table. The adulterant first food is milk. Milk is usually adulterated with water. Water is added to the pure milk and the milk gets adulterated. Similarly, in chili powder, red chili powder, brick powder is the adulterant. Brick powder is added for personal gains, but it leads to adulterated food and it harms the quality of food. Turmeric powder, the adulterants are starch of maize or lead chromate. Lead chromate is a poisonous substance. When it is added to this turmeric powder, the turmeric powder becomes adulterated. Grains, in the grains, when we buy grains from the market, there are small, we can find sand, marble chips. These are the adulterants, sand and marble chips in grains. Green vegetables are usually coated with a green color. That green color is unhealthy for us and leads to certain problems, diseases. Honey is adulterated with sugar syrup. Mustard oil, it is adulterated with palm oil. Apples, they are coated with wax. Watermelon, injected with red chemical which makes it more sugary and more red from inside. Coriander powder, it is adulterated with powder of husk. So all these are adulterants. We should buy branded food products from authentic shops to avoid these adulterated food items. With this, we have finished with lesson number 3 and we will continue with lesson number 4. Thank you, class. Today we will do lesson number 4, pollination. For pollination, we need to study the flower. Most of the plants around us, they produce flowers in different seasons. And why? What is the purpose of producing flowers? Because flowers, they give rise to seeds and fruits. Most of the plants produce flowers in different seasons, and flowers we can see around us. There are flowers of different shapes, different color and different sizes. Some plants blossom in summer while some plants they blossom in winters. So flowers are produced throughout the year. Few plants they produce their flowers in summer season, some flowers are produced in winters. The purpose of producing flowers is to make seeds. A flower gives rise to a fruit and seeds are present inside the fruit. To understand this better, we will first study about parts of a flower. Here you can see a flower. This is a bisexual flower. Bisexual flower with both the male and female whorls. Each flower has 4 parts. First is the sepal. Sepal is at the bottom where the flower is attached to the stem. The stem is known as pedicel. At the bottom of the lowest whorl of the flower is the sepal. This is generally green in color. Then we have petals. Petals are showy, colored to attract the bees and insects for flowering. The next whorl is the stamen. Stamen, this is the male whorl. Stamen is made up of 2 parts. The upper part is the anther. Anther contains the pollen grains and the stalk is known as filament. Stamen has 2 parts, anther and filament. Anther contains the pollen grains. Then the last whorl of the flower is the pistil. Pistil is also known as the female whorl or the gynoecium. It is having 3 parts, stigma, the top part, then the cylindrical style, and the lowest part is the ovary. Ovary contains the ovules, which are the female gametes. These are the 4 parts of the flower: sepals, petals, stamen and pistil. The 4 main parts of the flower are sepals, petals, stamen and pistil. Stamen is having 2 parts, anther and filament, and pistil is having 3 parts, stigma, style and ovary. Ovary contains the ovules and anther contains the pollen. Pollen is the male gamete and ovules are the female gamete. Next we have to do functions of different parts of the flower. Sepals, they are the lowest whorl. The first lowest part of the flower is known as the sepal. This is generally green in color and they make the outermost layer of the flower. They cover and protect the inner whorls. Inner whorls like petals, stamen and pistil. Next we come to petals. Petals are generally bright colored and showy. They have different colors. Their bright color is used to attract the insects and the bees for pollination. The third whorl of the flower is stamen. All the stamens together are known as androecium. each stamen is divided into two parts, anther and filament. Anther is on the top and the stem is known as filament. The anther is at the top end. It contains the pollen grains. The fourth whorl is the pistil. Pistil is also collectively known as gynoecium. It is the female part of the flower. Pistil is further divided into three parts: stigma, then style and ovary. Inside the ovary, ovules are present. The lower part of the pistil or gynoecium is swollen and it forms the ovary. Ovary contains ovules or the female cells. Now flowers, we have seen so many flowers around us. All the flowers are different. Certain flowers we find are bisexual. Bisexual, that means bisexual flower will have both the stamen and the pistil. And unisexual, certain flowers are unisexual. They will either have the male stamen or the female pistil part. They will not have both the parts. Bisexual flowers, they have both androecium and gynoecium, the stamen and the pistil together. Example of bisexual flower is hibiscus, the best example, then rose, lily, morning glory, all these are bisexual flowers. Unisexual flowers are also known as monosexual. Monosexual, either they will have the female whorl or the male whorl. Example of unisexual flowers are cucumber, coconut, papaya, pumpkin, watermelon. All these are unisexual. Either the male whorl is present or the female whorl is present. Unisexual flowers with androecium or gynoecium can grow on the same plant or they grow on different plants. Next we will start with pollination. Up till here the parts of the flowers are clear. Now pollination, it is of two types. What is pollination? Pollination, in order to make the seeds, a flower has to have both male and female cells together. The pollen from an anther are transferred to the stigma of a flower for formation of a seed. This process of transference of pollen from the anther to the stigma is known as pollination. Like here we have anther. From the anther, pollen grains are transferred to the stigma of the flower. Transference of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma is known as pollination. Pollination is of two types: self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination, in self-pollination, the pollen grains from the anther of the same flower are transferred to the stigma of the same plant. Self-pollination, transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the same plant is known as self-pollination. And in cross-pollination, what happens? The pollen grains from the anther of one plant gets transferred to the stigma of some another plant. That is known as cross-pollination. In cross-pollination, two different flowers from two different plants are involved. And cross-pollination, it is brought about by different agents. There are agents of pollination which help in pollination. First is, pollens can be generally carried from one anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower by the help of insects and bees. Insects and bees, butterflies, they are the main agents of pollination. Otherwise, the second type, wind or air, when the breeze blows, the pollen blow together with the breeze and get deposited on the stigma of some other flower. So wind is also an agent of pollination, second agent, and third, small birds like hummingbirds and some birds, they come to suck nectar from the flower. They by mistake carry the pollen from one flower and carry it to the stigma of some other flower. So birds like hummingbirds also are known as agents of pollination. They cause pollination. And fourth, in aquatic plants like Vallisneria, Hydrilla, in aquatic plants, water causes the pollination, the transference of pollen from one anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower. Example of water pollinated flowers are Hydrilla and Vallisneria. This is clear. What is pollination, types of pollination and agents of pollination. Pollination is of two types. If pollination takes place from the anther of one flower to the stigma of the flower of the same plant or the same flower, then it is known as self-pollination. If pollination takes place from anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower, suppose we have another flower here. If this pollen grains are transferred from anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower, this type of pollination is known as cross pollination. This flower should be from some another plant. In cross pollination, the anther of the pollen from the anther of one flower get transferred to the stigma of another flower of another plant of the same type. If this is a hibiscus plant, then in cross pollination, hibiscus from one hibiscus plant anther, pollination will be transferred to stigma of another hibiscus plant. This is clear. There are two types of pollination. Self means in the same plant or the same flower. Cross pollination means the same type of flower but flower from another plant. A pollinating agent is necessary for cross pollination. We have done 4 agents of pollination: wind, insects, bees, butterflies. First agent is wind. Second is insect, bees and butterflies, they help in pollination. Third agent is hummingbird and small birds of the same type. And fourth agent of pollination in case of water plants is water. So for cross pollination, agents of pollination are necessary. They cause the transference of pollen from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower. Unisexual flowers cannot produce seeds without pollination. They need agents of pollination, and cross pollination can occur in the bisexual flowers. Cross pollination can occur in the bisexual flowers, but in unisexual flowers or monosexual which have only anther, which have only androecium or gynoecium in them, in that case cross pollination takes place with the help of the agents. With this we have completed lesson number 4. Thank you class children. Prepare properly for your exams and read and revise the lesson. Go through the exercises and question answers in your copy. Thank you class.